Welcome to the Formalize tutorial video about tables of elements. Now, a table of elements, the option is right down here if you're interacting with a form, you're on the Elements tab and adding elements to it. It's right down here, table of existing elements placed before the element it contains. Big hint there. And basically, if you have elements in the form like we have these 4 text boxes, you can see them being created in the cloning elements video. If you have a series of 4 related, or more than 4, if you have a whole bunch of elements that are related and you want to display them in a table, then this is a useful way to do that. So if we look at how those elements are in the form currently, we can switch to the form and they would show up like this. Here's an entry that's been created. And for the numbers, it's like number of adult males, adult females, juvenile males, juvenile females. So there's the numbers that have been recorded. But it's pretty plain vanilla layout, and especially for a long series of elements, that might not be appropriate. So you can add a table like this. We can give it a name just like any other element. Number of animals seen, and then under options, here's the heart of the matter. So you have some choice over what text you want to use as a heading for the table. You can use the caption that you typed, or the title of the form itself, or you could perhaps have no heading. If there is a heading, then where do you want it to appear? So you can have 2 options there. We'll look at them both in a moment. By default, we'll just start with the first one. So heading will be on the side, and the table will be on the on the one side, and the table will be on the other. So captions for the rows. Well, if we imagine these being bundled up into a table, then we're going to start with this element. So we're going to have adult males, adult females. If we do 2 by 2, then we'll have adult males, adult females, juvenile females. Now it's really up to you how you wish your table to be, and the structure of the table is actually controlled by the captions that you put in here. So if you want a 2 by 2 table, then you need to go captions for the rows are going to be adults, juveniles, and captions for the columns are going to be males, females. So it depends how many captions or rows you have. They need to be comma separated. That's what's going to determine the structure of the table. Background shading, you can alternate the shading on rows or shading on columns. And then most importantly, choose the first element for the table. So the first element is going to be that one, the first number of the 4 that we're including. So the last thing you have to do, as it says, place this before the elements that it contains. So you can control the position. You can drag and drop the elements in the list of elements themselves, or if we saved this and went back to the list of elements, we could move it there. But we can also say, just place this after what type of animal was it. So it'll appear after that, but before the 4 boxes. So if we do that, then let's save it. All done. Just to show you the other way of reordering, you can also just drag elements around here if you want to make a change, and then click Save to save those changes. But with it in its current position with the options that we picked, if we reload this page, then there we go. We've got a table, simple table, with the different headings, the columns and row headings that we chose, and the exact same numbers that were in those boxes. They've now moved. The boxes have been shifted around. So it's the same form elements. Data is saved. You interact with it in exactly the same way. If we save that and click All Done, go back to the list, then here at the bottom for that entry, there we've got number of adult males, number of adult females, juvenile females, and it's just like the form elements are normal. They're just like any other. It's just that the display of them is a bit different. Now, some of the options for how you interact with those, if we open that up, click Configure, we can change. There's this option I mentioned at the beginning. Change it to move the heading above the grid so that it'll span both columns. Let's save that, and let's reload this page. F5 reloads. Since it's a form submission, we have to confirm that. So there we go. Now it's spanning the whole thing, depending on on how your form looks, how large it is, what this information is. You might prefer that. And just for example, we could also turn off the heading. Maybe when we're spanning both columns, we don't actually want the heading to appear. So let's just change that again. Reload, and there. Maybe that's a bit cleaner. So you can do various things, and it's really up to you how you want to lay out this information. You can use that other option to change maybe to vertical shading rather than horizontal shading, and so on. Is there anything else to know about tables? Well, that's really it. There's no data associated with them. It's important to understand that these elements are what we call non-data elements. Nothing is actually stored in them. They're just conveniences for how we display or interact with other elements. Oh, I suppose the last thing I could mention is the style sheet. There is a style sheet for formulas. It's contained here, just in the root folder for your system. Then modules, formulas, templates, CSS. It's actually a PHP file. It's got some PHP instructions in it, but it is essentially a style sheet. And if we open that up, you can see it here. It's PHP because we're doing some things in here that require PHP up at the top, and then we're printing out the absolute path to certain resources. So, but you can override in here various styles at your discretion. There is also in the standalone version of Formulize, there's another style sheet or series of style sheets that you may want to work with under, where are we? There, themes, so root, themes, and then Formulize standalone. And all the HTML for the layout, the images, and the content CSS and style CSS, those are the two main style sheets that you'd interact with if you want to customize other aspects of the layout. So I hope that was useful and interesting and gives you food for thought about other ways you might lay out some elements in a more complex form.